지금 방송 광고라는 부메랑을 던져보세요. 소비자를 향해 정확히 날아가는 광고. 힘차게 돌아가는 경제. 부메랑처럼 다시 기업의 이익으로 되돌아오니까요. 방송 광고, 경제에 큰 힘이 됩니다. 부산 방송광고발전협의회.
The time is now 7 o'clock.
The Yuksam building, in English you might know it as the 6-3 Square, once the tallest building in the country. It's still a landmark here in South Korea. But the company that built this landmark has filed for court receivership, evidence of how tough things are in the construction industry. The economic pitfalls don't just end there, with concerns that this year may be one of the slowest growth for the country in that field. Uncertainties are on the horizon this year, and we will definitely have to brace ourselves. I'm Catherine, and this is Morning Wave in Busan on Wednesday, January 8th on BEFM, 부산영어방송. Good morning, Wavers. I hope you all slept well and survived the very cold kind of winter weather that we've been having the past couple of days. And we know this, the construction sector, it has been really sluggish. Last year was pretty bad, but this came as a bit of a shocker. Shindonga Construction has been put under court receivership. So in Korean, this is 기업회생 절차. This company was the one that put up the famous Yuksam building and is considered to be in the top 50 construction companies in Korea. And it comes amid the highest bankruptcies for construction last year since 2019. There are liquidity woes across the sector. And unfortunately, signs don't point to things improving quickly this year. And there's still, the very high interest rates still, uncertainties over the impeachment scandal, and that is weighing down on South Korea, possibly hampering investment. And the thing is, this isn't just an issue with the construction sector. South Korea's growth rate projection for this year has been cut as well. 8 global investment banks lowered South Korea's 2025 growth projection from 1.8% last year to 1.7%, lower than the Bank of Korea's 1.9% projection. And this connected to the martial law declaration and the subsequent impeachment trial as demand went down, evidenced by the slump in credit card spending in the last month of the year in 2024, just last month. And if economic growth for South Korea does indeed come in at 1.8%, well, this will be the first time since record-taking began that South Korea has marked a second consecutive year in the 1% growth range. This is significant. And of course, this is only the 8th day of 2025. So, of course, we can still hope for optimism. We can be optimistic, but it all depends on how quickly we can get out of this period of lots of uncertainties thus far. Now, we're going to switch gears because, our text topic time, we like to keep things a little positive. Who were the most popular artists? Or maybe what were the most popular songs at your school's talent show? Because remember yesterday we shared one of our waivers, son's talent show and, what happened there. So tell me about your school's talent show. What was really hot, hip during your school's talent show? 자, 학창 시절 학예회나 장기 자랑 무대를 사로잡은 가장 인기 있었던 노래나 무대. 가수 누구였나요? During your years in school. So think back. I know it might take a little bit of thinking. So go back down memory lane and let me know who you... Oh, and maybe they were popular. Maybe you actually sang one of those songs. I'm so curious about hearing your messages. Send them into BFM's live stream live chat on YouTube. Go to the platform YouTube, search for BEFM or 부산영어방송, and you can subscribe to our channel. You can also log in and chat away with our waivers on your phone. Pound 9050 shop 9050. That's going to cost you 100 won. Also, we have a Kakao Talk channel as well. So add us as a friend. Same thing there. Search for BEFM 부산영어방송. The ways you can listen to us: 90.5, 100.3 FM. That's on the radio if you're in the Busan area. Like I said, we're streaming live on YouTube. So check us out if you haven't done so. And you can also listen at and watch at your leisure. We have our own app, BFM app. So go to your store and download that, or also the Patbang app. We're available on that as well. Looking ahead to our morning together, we have hashtag fact check. That's with Leon. We have Jennifer with Skills 101. And then for a special interview, yesterday we shared with you that the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, that he is resigning. So this is pretty major. We're going to talk about this and get into the details of this, the ramifications, in hour number 2 with our expert. Stay tuned for this, plus much more, and I'll be back with today's headlines. It is now 7:06, and these are today's headlines. Court grants detention warrant extension against Yoon. The Seoul Western District Court granted an extension of a warrant to detain impeached President Yoon Suk-yeol requested by the CIO. Transport Ministry confirms Jeju airplane experienced bird strike. The Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport officially recognized for the first time that the fatal Jeju airplane crash had experienced a bird strike at the time of the accident. Injunction granted to halt election for Korea Football Association chief. The Seoul Central Court yesterday granted an injunction to halt the election for the president of the Korea Football Association, or KFA, following a candidate's claims that the proceedings lacked fairness. Army commanders given prison sentences over recruit's death. The Chuncheon District Court yesterday sentenced 2 Army company commanders to 5 and 3 years in prison, respectively, in connection with the death of a trainee soldier last year. At least 126 dead in Tibet earthquake. At least 126 people were killed and 188 injured after a magnitude 7.1 earthquake struck the foothills of the Himalayas in Tibet Tuesday morning local time. And these are today's headlines. It is now time for us to check in with Sue. Good morning, Sue.
Good morning, Catherine.
All right, before we get into our Busan updates, let's talk about talent shows during your heyday back when you were in school. What was like the hot group or like, the group or singers that everybody wanted to kind of emulate and, copy on stage?
Mm-hmm. I didn't get to finish high school in Korea, but when I was in middle school, Psy, he was the star.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So my best friend, she sang Champion.
Oh.
So with the rap and the cool
everything, really?
Yeah, it was really
wow. So it was a one woman show.
Yes.
Oh my
And,
goodness.
yeah, she killed it. She killed the
you?
stage. Not
Did-
me.
not you.
Me.
You
She,
didn't go on
my
stage?
best friend.
Ah, I would have loved. I'm trying to imagine Sue on stage as Sai. That would be really, really fun too, as well. But thanks for sharing.
You bet.
Oh, what a fun idea. Well, for our first update, we're going to talk about the Hyundai Times Square project, which is aimed at creating a landmark destination here in Hyundai, has faced significant challenges, stalling its progress.
In order to revitalize local tourism and economy, this project was set to be the first outdoor advertisement-free zone, 5개 광고 자유표시 구역, outside the capital region in South Korea. However, since the announcement of the project last year, the controversy surrounding the selection process has intensified as advertising company N filed a formal complaint with the Busan District Prosecutor's Office, East Branch, against 6 evaluation committee members. The company alleged that disparity in the evaluation process and unfair practices led to the selection of A consortium over other competitors. Haeundae-gu District selected this A consortium as the preferred bidder.
So this controversy is one of the reasons why the project has been delayed. So are there any other factors?
The primary issue is the location of building the Midiatower. It has raised concerns about the potential disruption of the area's scenic views because the tower could block the direct line of sight from Gu남로 to Haeundae Beach and obstruct the ocean views.
I see.
Both Haeundae-gu District and the project operator insist that the tower must be built at the proposed location because the site was already disclosed and there are no alternative spots. However, Busan City is concerned about spoiling the view and plans to review the matter thoroughly. Also, the city believes further evaluation from various landscape experts is necessary.
I see. Well, it sounds like an important project, so hopefully we'll get some progress on that front soon. All right, in the past year, the youth population in Busan decreased by over 20,000, and for the first time, Incheon has surpassed Busan in terms of this demographic.
Statistics Korea defined the official age for youth 15 to 29 years old. According to Korean Statistical Information Service, 국가 통계 포털, in December 2023, the population of 15 to 29-year-olds in Busan decreased by 0.4% from the previous month and by 4.2% from the previous year. Incheon also saw a decline in its youth population, but with a smaller decrease than Busan. Busan had more people in the 20 to 24 age group, while Incheon had a larger 15 to 19 age group. The youth population in Busan now makes up 14.9% of its total population, while Incheon's youth population is 16.1%. This is the first time it has fallen below 15%, and this marks a shift from 1992 when Busan's youth population was significantly larger than Incheon's. The average age of Busan residents was 47.2 years, while Incheon's was 44.4 years. The trend suggests Busan youth population may continue to decrease, possibly leading to Incheon surpassing Busan in the near future.
And we don't want to lose, our spot for any demographic, right? Busan. Well, let's move on to our next item. Busan National University, PNU, is pushing forward with the construction of a specialized art school for students with disabilities. However, this project is facing delays. So give us the details on this.
This project was selected as a national task in 2018 in order to build a nationwide education facility offering systemic arts education for disabled students. Recently, a contractor for the construction has been selected, and the project is undergoing an eligibility review by the Public Procurement Service, 조달청, but it has faced delays in its openings. One of the main issues was the inclusion of part of Kumjang Mountain, which is located behind the university's sports field.
Yes.
And part of the school would be built there. This raised concerns about environmental damage from the local community. So PNU plans to complete the project by March 2028, but still needs to obtain implementation plan approval and building permits from Kumjeonggu district. Also, the project must pass disaster and environmental impact assessments from the National Institute of Disaster Safety and the Nakdonggang River Basin Environmental Office before the approval.
I see.
Another issue is the Kumsemlo Road, which connects Kumgang Botanical Garden to the Guseol Lotte Castle apartment complex. The road has been planned since 1973. However, passing through the PNU campus via this road remains unopened due to concerns about vibration and noise from the construction. Despite these obstacles, PNU is committed to moving forward with the construction and plans to finish by 2027.
Yes. So once again, I guess reasons for the delays, but I'm sure this is a very much needed school for students with disabilities, so hopefully they can get that up and running. All right, lastly, we have Busan's Kijanggun County, which has completed the construction of the Chalma Urban Agriculture Park and began pilot operations on the 6th.
Catherine, when you hear Chalma Doshi, anything comes to your mind?
Chalma, to be honest, isn't it known for its Hanu?
Hanu, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, it's a quiz. I got it right.
Sorry.
Yes.
I love Korean beef. My family takes me there to enjoy really good quality beef there.
Right.
But this news caught my attention because this park is the first urban agriculture themed park in Busan and plans to provide urban residents with opportunities for urban agriculture participation and highlight the multifaceted value of farming.
Okay.
The park includes facilities like an urban agriculture center, citizen allotment gardens, children's community gardens, a traditional farm, which is 토종 농장, a type of garden where traditional local grown crops can be cultivated, and a lawn plaza and parking lots. There will be various educational and experiential programs for residents. The pilot operations will run until March, and the park will be set to officially open in April. During the pilot period, the county will enhance the park's amenities and complete the interior construction of facilities such as a seed exhibition hall and experience rooms for good experience for citizens.
Okay, well, you caught me off guard. I thought you were going to say you're going to be able to grow your own cattle because it's Chalma, but okay, thank goodness it's just agriculture. Well, thank you for all the updates, and of course, we'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you, Sue.
Thank you.
And I'll be back with your traffic and weather. It is now time for your traffic report. It's now 7:17. It looks backed up on the Dongso overpass from Bumnikor ramp to the old Kaegum tollgate right now. Also looking slow on Luno Samsungdaedo from Myeongji underpass to Shinho Bridge. Also congested on Jungangdaedo from Sojongjeon to Bugok intersection. Currently, it is -1 degree here in Busan. And is this correct? Light snow forecast for this morning in Busan? Well, the daytime high is expected to go up to 7 degrees Celsius, but with a wind chill factor, it might feel colder. And across the nation, heavy snow in Chungcheon, Jeolla, and Jeju. That's going to continue until tomorrow. And it is already below freezing across most of the country. It is -11 in Chuncheon. Snow is forecast for much of the nation. Please be careful this morning. And yesterday, there were reports that some people saw little bits of snow. So this was your traffic and weather.
Are you an early bird? Are you up to date on the news? Are you a trendsetter? For all of the biggest issues from Busan to the world and useful information you need, right here on Morning Wave in Busan.
It is now time for News Digest. We have Haley in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so let's dive into our text topic first.
All right. So does anybody remember 가라가라 갇혀 확 갇혀 내 안에 갇혀 확 갇혀 가라가라 갇혀 확 갇혀 사랑 안에 갇혀 no one. It's okay. All right. Cat's lost. Her eyes are just empty. Glazed.
No, because I'm searching my brain. And I'm looking at our
Like,
producer,
who,
and
what?
she's avoiding eye contact.
We're like we're slightly of a different generation.
우린 둘 다 그냥
It's chakra. They're like this Indian chakra. Go figure. The name. They're this like Indian themed girl group.
I think I've heard of the group. Yeah,
You probably know Ryeowon. She played the ex-girlfriend on Kim Samsun. She's a really famous actress. Right. And that's the last drama I remember seeing her in. She was in many other things I just don't watch. Yeah, it was, I don't know why, but all the 언니s in my elementary school, because I only went to like the third grade here, but like the 언니s, like the cool 언니s did chakra.
They do?
Yeah. And then I think the cute 언니s did Pinkle, which also Finkel, but yeah, it was all about the hair.
The hair?
And then, all the other cool 언니s also did baby box, which is all about the hair, which is what I was trying to do, get my hair to do. And you have to like tape your bangs to your side of your face. And this is what they have to do.
I wish I could show Umberto's little emoticon.
What's he doing?
It's the,
like, the shrug.
Like, what the heck?
I don't know what you're doing.
I don't know what you're doing, Haley. But
Some people do.
Yes.
Layla, she says, here I am. Yeah, we're in solidarity. Yeah, all right.
Here I am, Haley. Okay. Okay. Straight up, our producer said stop.
I'm gonna get the camera cut off on me soon. All right, I'm done.
We're done. She's gonna lower your mic.
It's just gonna be a black screen in
I've
front
never
of me.
seen Haley blush. And she's blushing.
I'm so happy, you guys.
Okay. The camera's on me now. I wish I had stories to tell because, like, it's so different. Like this whole like talent show thing in the States, like. There was no like there might have been talent shows and there like rock band performances, but nothing like here in Korea.
If I do hear My Heart Will Go On one more time, I mean my head will explode. But that was the song.
Or like renditions of Nirvana. Oh gosh, and it's always bad live from a high school band.
It's always bad.
It's always bad. All right, we're gonna dive into some serious news. So. Okay. First, with the impeachment proceedings, there has been some controversy over the National Assembly removing insurrection charges from the impeachment motion. So we need some clarification on this.
Right. So this has been all over the news, and I've heard, just anecdotal reports from friends about how families are like divided over this. But so the National Assembly's legal representatives, they kind of act as prosecutors in the impeachment case.
Yes.
They've actually asked the Constitutional Court to remove the charge that President Yoon Suk-yeol allegedly incited an insurrection, 내란선동, when he declared martial law back in December.
Yes.
So the reason is that this will help to focus the proceedings on whether Yoon violated the Constitution and speed up the trial. So here's the clarification that we need to make. It doesn't mean that the prosecutors or law enforcement will not bring up insurrection charges against the president, but just removing it from the impeachment motion.
Right.
Because we're talking about two separate insurrection charges. The first one, the criminal charge, 헌법위반, that would be handled under a criminal court, and this will be brought up as a separate charge, likely by the prosecution. But then the second one, the one that is under the scope here, it's on the impeachment motion that is brought up to the Constitutional Court, and this pertains to whether the president's alleged inciting of insurrection was in violation of the Constitution, thus would be grounds for his removal from office. So that is what the Constitutional Court would have or would be ruling on, but this is a part where the National Assembly's legal team is seeking to remove, once again, to speed up the process.
However, Yoon's side is saying that this effectively nullifies the impeachment.
Right. So the president's legal defense team said that the insurrection charge accounts for 80% of the physical papers within the impeachment motion. Therefore, the court should then dismiss the impeachment motion altogether.
Right.
So if the court accepts the team's request to remove the insurrection charge, then the trial will focus on whether his activities surrounding martial law violated the Constitution, and they will not be deciding whether the insurrection violated the criminal law.
Yes.
The court, for its part, said how the matter will be reviewed is a decision to be made wholly, entirely by the bench. So that kind of alludes to them maybe even waiting for a 9-person bench, but at least the 8 current justices will be ruling on the matter together.
Yes. So that's where we are on this story. Okay, now we're going to go in an entirely different direction. It is winter vacation for universities, but it's also the time of year when schools, universities decide on whether to raise the tuition or not.
And this is when students, and I think more so the parents, are very much waiting with bated breath. So Seogang University, they passed a resolution just this week to raise its tuition by 4.85%. But to be fair, this is their first tuition hike in 13 years. Kookmin University will also raise tuition by 4.97%, first hike in 17 years. And many in Seoul universities, most of them are private universities, Yonsei, Seonggyungwan, and Gyeonggi universities contemplating a tuition hike. A recent survey puts this rate at about 30% of schools considering to raise their tuition.
Yes, and the government is trying to get the schools to hold off on this tuition hike, though.
Right. This is a battle that we see every single year right around this time.
Right.
Well, Education Minister Lee Joo-ho sent a notice to the universities asking them to freeze their tuition for this year. However, considering their financial difficulties, those that do freeze the tuition, they're saying they will get government funding for national scholarships. This is the government's financial aid type 2 in the national scholarship. So this type of government aid is the government's tools to get the universities to not raise their tuition, because not raising the tuition is actually the precondition for the schools getting funding for this type of scholarship.
I see.
However, some schools like Seogang and Kookmin, they've decided to forego that funding in favor of the tuition hike. That's because, at least according to them, they're having a hard time hiring professors or giving them raises or improving infrastructure on the limited budget that they have. And this has been evident more so in private schools outside the capital area. I believe last year around this time, we went through a bout of tuition increases for Busan area private schools. However, this year we're seeing this pattern more and more in Seoul, especially in the private sector.
Yes, indeed. So I'm sure we'll hear more about this as we progress through winter vacation. Now we're going to move on to the prolonged medical walkout. We're on month 11 already. The trainee doctors walkout, and a major doctors group is set to elect their new leader.
Right. So this is the Korea Medical Association, KMA. Their presidential runoff elections, 결선 투표, began yesterday and it'll run through today, and results will be announced by tonight. So this is a by-election following a rather premature impeachment of its previous president, Im Hyun-taek, who only served 6 months in office, the shortest ever in the organization's history. So the two candidates who are running are Kim Tae-gu and Chu Soo-ho, who are both considered to be more on the hawkish side. Right. And the race was actually really close, only 437 votes between them in the previous round. However, given the positions that they have shown, it seems that neither will sway too far from the stern position that the KMA has shown in the past. Well, in the meantime, the medical students, they're set to continue their boycott of classes in the new academic year.
Yes.
Because the KIRA, the Korea Intern and Residents Association, sent a notice to the medical and educational industries saying that their members will continue the protest by submitting the leaves of absence to their respective schools.
Yes. And as this has been going on for maybe almost a full year at this point, people are getting pretty much exasperated.
Right, and we do have data to back this up. This is a survey conducted and released by the Seoul National University School of Public Health.
Yes.
Conducted by Korea Research, over 1,000 adults. And here, 87.6% said that there is an imbalance of doctors by region and specialty, and that this is a serious problem. Also, 57.7% said overall as a country, South Korea does not have enough doctors. But what's really interesting is that the consensus is that we are lacking in medical resources, especially doctors. The public was basically split on how they view this current government's medical school quota expansion. Because 29% said that they didn't agree with neither the scale nor the timing. 27% said that they agreed with both. Nearly 35% only agreed with one of the two. So basically, we're seeing like a thirds difference in how they view this policy.
Okay.
However, though, a majority, 61%, agreed with the government's medical reform initiative, although 69% said they kind of have a problem with the how. This ongoing government doctor struggle was preventable.
Yes.
But then we know this has taken a toll on public and the public health this past year because 70% of the public felt stressed over this whole struggle. 88% said that this did affect them negatively in one way or another.
Sure.
However, people felt generally helpless. 74% saying that the public did not have any say or power over this ongoing conflict.
Yes, I think that can be said. Generally speaking, we just don't have any power over this situation. All right, lastly, we're going to turn to our attention about the soon-to-be outgoing Canadian Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, ending his near 10-year, I guess we'll call it, leadership.
Right.
Our special interview guest later, our expert, he's going to have his expert opinion. But let's go over
Kind of
exactly
the background.
Yes.
So before we get into the special interview, he was definitely a star, if not the star in politics,
Yes.
in liberal politics 10 years ago. Back then he was 42, quite young. He led the ruling Liberal Party and became prime minister in November of 2025. So this is technically year 10, although he's really ending it at the very beginning. He comes from this political royalty background. His father, Pierre Trudeau, he was a former prime minister in 2 non-consecutive terms in the late 60s to the early 80s.
Right.
Justin Trudeau himself, I mean, as shallow as it is, this is why he not only became prime minister, but his face was plastered all over magazines. And we're talking fashion magazines. He was considered very handsome.
And this is not like Haley's
Right,
opinion.
no, it's not. I mean, he was like, I'm quoting Vogue, who said like model good looks was one of the quotes used.
Yes.
But back to politics, substance, he struggled in past years, as with any country.
Yes.
High inflation, out of control housing prices. And just anecdotally, when our mutual Canadian friend and I talked about this issue briefly, the first thing out of their mouth was, housing prices are crazy. No middle-class person can buy a house.
Right.
There are also some personal scandals, including Trudeau skipping out on the country's first National Day of Truth and Reconciliation for a surfing vacation, and he was photographed on such. Revelations that family members were paid hundreds of thousands of dollars by a charity, but then the government awarded a substantial contract to that charity. So some financial issues there. Well, recently Trudeau saw his approval rating plummet to 33%. That was late last year. Also around the same time, nearly 24 Liberal MPs, lawmakers, signed a letter calling for him to step down.
Yes.
And that's because they're basically at this rate projecting a crushing defeat in the upcoming elections. We don't know exactly when it will be held, but it must be held by October of this year.
Yes, and of course, we can't ignore the Donald Trump factor.
Right. So since Trump was elected back in November, he has publicly mocked Trudeau and maybe even Canada, because he has consistently referred to Canada as a soon-to-be the 51st state of the U.S., or
asking them, basically telling them that they should join as the 51st state, and called Trudeau Governor Trudeau as opposed to Prime Minister.
Yes.
Trudeau, for his part, he has attempted to kind of smooth things over, get things started on the right step with the incoming U.S. president. He did even visit Trump at his Mar-a-Lago home in Florida, and they did pose together for a photo, and then almost immediately later, though, Trump brought up the 51st state and the Governor Trudeau comment again.
Yes.
And even after the resignation yesterday, Trump took to social media with the 51st state jab once again.
Yes. And as Leslie points out, she comments, these are Leslie's words. We left Trudeau in the early years because he was elected around the time of the first Trump administration. People wanted to move to Canada. And also she mentioned the blackface scandal. That was kind of big as well.
That was right.
Yeah. Anyhow, thank you for reporting on all the news, and we'll check in with you in hour number 2. Thank you, Haley.
See you in a bit.
Well, we're ready for our first song break. And according to many of you on our board, this song was very popular for school talent shows. Candy by H.O.T.
오늘 너와의 만남을 정리하고 싶어 널 만날 거야 이런 날이에 어렵게만 정한 거라 내게 말할 거지만 사실 오늘 아침에 그냥 나 생각한 거야 햇살에 일어나 보니 너무나 눈부셔 모든 게 다 변한 거야 널 향한 마음도 그렇지만 널 사랑 않는 게 아냐 이제는 나를 변화시킬 테니까 몰래 다른 여자들과 비교해 진짜 그만 헤어지는 것을 두개 혼자서 울고 쫄아게 감정으로 나는 보았어 널 떠날 거야 널 떠날 거야 하지만 아직까지 사랑하는 거야 그 얘기는 없지만 내 맘속에 너를 잊어갈 거야 머리 위로 비친 하늘을 바라다 보면 널 향한 마음은 이제는 굳혔지만 웬일인지 내게 다 다가갈수록 우린 같은 하늘 아래서 있었지 난 널 사랑해 이렇게 말했지 이제껏 준비했던 많은 말을 이루한 채 언제나 네 옆에 있을게 이렇게 약속을 하겠어 저 하늘을 바라다 보면 Hit me!
Wine down up on the rubber double line. Cause it's a little bit you have a friend of mine. Bubble in a frock, boom shaka top.
내게 하늘여 있어 그래 너는 내 앞에 서 있고 그래 다른 연인들 키스를 해 하지만 항상 너의 뒤에 있어야만 해 이제 그만해 나도 남자인데 내 마음 너무 알고 있는 거 알아 그래 이제 나도 지쳐서 하늘만 바라볼 수밖에 햇살에 일어나 보니 너무나 눈부셔 모든 게 다 변한 거야 널 향한 마음도 그렇지만 널 사랑 않는 게 아냐 이제는 나를 변화시킬 테니까 머리 위로 비친 내 하루 바라다 보며 널 향한 마음을 이제는 묻혔지만 웬일인지 내게 다 다가갈수록 우린 같은 하늘 아래서 있었지 단지 널 사랑해 이렇게 말했지 이제껏 준비했던 많은 날을 이루한 채 언제나 네 옆에 있을게 이렇게 약속을 하겠어 저 하늘을 바라보며 한 번 더 말했지 이제껏 준비했던 많은 말을 이루한 채 다시 널 사랑한다 이루한 채 언제나 네 옆에 있을게 다시 너 혼자 아냐 너의 곁에 내가 있잖아
how many of you were singing and dancing along to that one? Oh, I wish I could lie and say I'm of that generation, at least here in Korea. I kind of wish I had grown up in that era here domestically, but I didn't. And I was mentioning Nirvana. I was not dissing Nirvana, by the way. I love Nirvana. It's just that the bands at my school, they were not as talented as Nirvana, but they wanted to be, they all wanted to be Kurt Cobain. And they were not. That was the problem. And it was kind of painful listening to some of the renditions. So that was what I was referring to. And some of your other responses to the text topic, by the way, which is, who were the most popular artists, or what were the most popular songs at your school's talent show? 학창 시절 학예회나 장기 자랑 무대에서 사로잡은 가장 인기 있었던 노래 혹은 무대 가수 누구였는지 그거를 지금 이야기를 나누고 있는데요. Let's see who else besides Nami Mo Waver says Boa #1. That's a popular one. Benny says The Corrs. Oh, The Corrs. Yeah, they're a popular one as well. Other ones, Black Eyed Peas, My Humps. Umberto says, during my time, NSYNC, Britney Spears, the Backstreet Boys, Christina Aguilera. Ooh, those are bringing back some memories as well. So there's clearly a divide of the, 그 국내파 versus the 해외파. There's a difference in the types of songs, but, of a certain era. And I'm sure it goes both ways. We recognize the artists and songs going both ways. All right, for now, though, we're going to get to Cat's Pick for Wednesday. For today's Cat's Pick, we're going to focus on Demi Moore, because she's been in the industry for so long, and she finally got her day, her accolades for her win at the Golden Globes. Here's a clip from E.T.
This is the first time I've ever won anything as an actor. And I'm just so humbled and so grateful.
Demi Moore is celebrating a major career milestone after nearly 40 years in Hollywood. The Substance star took home Best Actress in a Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy honors at the 2025 Golden Globes, and she reflected on overcoming career doubts that included once being told she shouldn't expect prestigious accolades despite her big box office successes.
30 years ago, I had a producer tell me that I was a popcorn actress, and at that time, I made that mean that this wasn't something that I was allowed to have, that I could do movies that were successful, that made a lot of money, but that I couldn't be acknowledged. And I bought in, and I believed that. And as I was at kind of a low point, I had this magical, bold, courageous, out of the box, absolutely bonkers script come across my desk called The Substance. And the universe told me that you're not done.
One group of Demi fans who never wavered in their faith, however, are her 3 daughters, Rumor, Scout, and Tallulah, who had a priceless reaction to their famous mom's first Globes win.
Demi.
Can you believe? 62. Amazing. And I'm not just talking about her outer appearance. The fact that she's able to be so, persevere Hollywood. It's all about lookism and about how young you are these days. But I'm glad that she has persevered and she's getting her moment. She's not just a popcorn actress. And by the way, Squid Game was nominated, Squid Game Season 2, for Best Series, TV Series. It did not win, but the fact that it was nominated even before its release is noteworthy. This was Cat's Pick for today.
Stay tuned. You're listening to Morning Wave in Busan.
It is time for our brand new corner, but with a not so new face.
It's the
Our
old
voice.
Leon.
No.
But with our new corner.
New corner. It's called In the Now,
It is
right?
called In the Now.
So can you explain what this is to our listeners?
So basically, it's talk. I'm gonna bring up tech topics about trends.
Yes.
That's trending across various topics, including health, like lifestyle, fashion.
I know
sports.
I hear you're really excited about this new corner.
Because I pitched it to the producer myself. Because I try to be a very trendy person. And I just love looking into what people are into these days.
Yes.
And actually getting a taste of it myself, whether it's like the hottest sport of the season or
Right,
the hottest thing to do or hottest thing to wear.
But we had a little taste of it during our, holiday special.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Which was
It
running.
was fun, right?
Yes.
And we did enjoy the hashtag fact check though. We enjoyed
did.
it. But
especially like the food related ones I enjoyed.
Right, and the sleeping and all that.
Yes.
But that kind of ran its course. We enjoyed it. But now we're on to In the Now.
In the Now, what's trending now?
Yes. What do we have for today?
So today, I thought it'd be meaningful to look into some trends that will be kind of trending this new year of 2025.
Yes.
Because it's quite possible that the trends that we've seen last year will, carry on over to this year. The first one that I want to talk about this week is what's called a 초효율주의 사회. There wasn't like an English direct translation. I think it's a word that we just made up. 효율주의. There's like efficiency.
Efficiency,
Like,
okay.
We're so obsessed with being efficient. But now I guess us Koreans have made up this word 초효율주의, like accentuating like we're like super
efficient.
We're becoming super efficient.
Okay.
And I mean, because we are living in a country of like 빨리빨리. We're
that's
Korea.
true.
I think this trend has been becoming more so here in Korea.
Yes.
Because we just love being efficient with our time. So the first one that I want to talk about is we kind of now summarize everything. We don't watch it in full. So,
I noticed this.
Yes. Were you falling victim to this as well? Because can you not watch like a whole...
Not me, but then... I was actually having a conversation with my youngest yesterday.
Yes.
And then she's like, "Oh, did you watch this?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Yeah, I did too." I was like, "You just had finals? And how did you finish the whole series?" And she goes, "Oh, through the
summary
summarized
one.
version." I was
Yes.
like, "And you understood everything?" She goes, "Yeah."
Yeah, because they have like a narrated version and they only show you like the most essential part of those series that are
Right.
very, very like 자극적. So if you click on it once, I'm sure, Catherine, you will not be able to take yourself out of it.
That's
'Cause
why
it's like the
purposely-
best clips of all.
I don't go on NoTube.
Oh, you don't go
At
on those
all.
on your free time.
Only
It's-
when
I-
I'm looking for Cat's clip. Like literally,
only
that's the
about
only time.
me.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Only when I'm looking for news clip. That's the only time because I know I'll fall down that rabbit hole.
Yes. So that's where everyone is kind of doing these days. Not really watching the full TV series
thank
or
goodness.
even the films. So movie makers are quite stressed too because people are not really purchasing tickets to go to the movies or buying, I guess TV through your cable channel. You're there just on
Do
YouTube.
you?
I don't.
You don't?
But
Okay.
when on my YouTube algorithm,
Yeah.
sometimes there's like this really thumbnail is sounds so fun.
Right.
Like,
wanna
something
click?
really 자극적 that you wanna find out the ending of this.
Oh.
So I end up clicking and it's like a really well-made movie, made it into like 5 minutes.
5 minutes?
So I feel like guilty at the end because if I watch this, I'm not gonna be watching the whole
It's
film.
kind of like reading the ending of a book.
It's like I've been spoiled, like spoiler alert to the max. But I feel bad for the people who've produced this
Yes.
film.
What else?
So,
What else?
Film, but also did you know group chat? Kakao thing. If we know.
Yes.
If we're in group chats, if you
Yes.
miss like the conversation, sometimes there's like 120 or like 200, notifications on it. And you're like, how am I going to go through all of it? There's actually an AI service that summarizes conversation.
There is?
And tell you in bullet points what's been going on in the
I
conversation.
need to use that.
Oh,
What's the biggest group chat? Like how many members?
I hate group chat personally.
Yeah.
I my family one, which is 6 people. It's
that's
just my
the maximum?
parents and my brother, sister-in-law, and me and my husband. What
I'm
about
in
you?
one for work at my school.
Uh-huh.
There are 109 people in our group chat.
Is it active? Like, is everyone participating in
Not
it?
everyone, but there's a lot of chatting. I want to
I can't.
leave, but I can't.
You know, there's a
know.
there's a function now. 몰래 나가기. But you're too afraid that they'll find out and not
Because
like you.
there's
Or are
sometimes
they're not students. They're
professors.
Core workers. Okay,
So I can't leave.
that's quite a tough one.
Right.
But you turn off the. Okay, let's.
Oh,
not,
of course, the alert is off.
Alert is off, right? Because that will drive you.
어떡하죠? I'm outing myself.
It's okay. It's okay.
So I can. There's a service where I can summarize all the conversations.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
good.
you might as well be using that. There's also, video summarizer as well.
Yes.
Do you know about some services that if you put in the link of the 너튜브 or they summarize the whole video into bullet points?
I guess I'm just not on NoTube enough.
Oh, I see. So I actually use this quite a lot. So
Okay.
I guess I'm kind of becoming super efficient with my time.
Okay.
In terms of video, because now people are feeling like I don't even have enough time to watch like a 10-minute clip. I just need to know what they're
What's
going to talk
important.
about.
The
Because
essence.
These days, the thumbnails of 너튜브, they feel like they're going to give you like the solution to the best, but it's oftentimes at the very end of the video because they need
It's
to
true.
keep you, hooked on the video.
Yes.
But you don't want to be spending time watching the whole thing, so people just punch in this,
Right.
link, and then it shows you they actually provide you with the whole script of the show and also the bullet point and also the timestamp for each, so you know where to go.
Yes.
And songs too. So people are these days don't want to listen to the whole song. They don't have
gosh.
2 to 3 minutes to sit down and listen to the whole music. So they do 1 point times faster or 2 times faster.
And songs are like shorter.
Songs are shorter.
Yes.
And also people used to use these like 2 times faster songs and use it as like addictive background songs for their SNS.
That's true.
If you've noticed,
Right.
you've seen shorts with like voices that are like tweaked. They're
Yes, yes.
higher because they're faster.
We all sound like chipmunks.
Yes. So that is another like side effect of
Yes.
people wanting to kind of concise everything, make everything concise.
Yes, indeed.
Also, another aspect is, do we have time to cover one more?
No, yeah, we do.
Okay, so consumers are actively utilizing booking apps to save their time in their spare time. I'm sure you've heard or at least used of the famous coffee chain. We have like the siren order function where I was surprised because I'm still the old school type where I don't want to open my application and order. I just want to just stand in line and like you.
I have my
put in
sister
order.
do the siren order.
Oh, you do?
She does everything for me.
A lot of people who I go with, they're like, "Why are you standing in line? I'm just gonna do this on my app." It's like, oh, I guess everyone's just using that application now. But it's not just coffee shops, but also restaurant reservation applications have been. A lot of people have been using it a lot. Mostly the MC generation used to be. Now also the middle-aged people. They don't want to be waiting. They don't want to be be told you have to wait like 30 minutes.
The
when they're there.
reservation for restaurants, I like. That you can.
I hate waiting.
I hate waiting.
If I know there's waiting, it's like no matter how good the food is, I
Me
just
too.
go to the next door restaurant.
I totally agree.
I can't. Nothing is worth it for
me-
40, 50 minutes.
I mean, the maximum I've ever waited, and it was like, because that was like the first and last time, was like 1 hour, and after that, it's like maximum it was 20 minutes.
1 hour?
It was
Can I
like-
ask you what type of food it was?
It was for 곱창, and it was like 오기가 나서, like at that point, I was like,
you were just angry.
I was angry and hangry.
먹고 말 거야.
Oh, it's like kind of like,
And was
But
it
after
worth
that,
it?
It was worth it, but even after that, I'm like, I'm never doing it again.
Never doing it again.
Right,
You've
what
been there,
else?
done that.
Okay,
But,
restaurants.
it's not only restaurants, but there's apparently now hair salons, hospital, where you can use applications
Yes.
to reserve your seats or make reservations. But did you know this one was quite new?
Okay.
There's like a mobile application where you can reserve a seat on a local bus line. So according to the date and time. We're not talking about like the express highway bus, like 고속버스 말고.
Not the 시외 bus, like the smaller
안에서,
bus.
right, the one in Seoul actually.
Really?
Because people who use those buses regularly to go to work and come to home, commute. The commute more is quite intense, especially in the metropolitan area of Seoul. So they've come up with this application where you can actually book your own seat in this bus for the city bus, and apparently it has over 180,000 subscribers. So that's what I was quite shocked about. How about this one?
One last one.
Quite new.
Okay. One last
You
one.
can hire someone to take out your trash and recycle for you because you don't want to be spending time recycling your own trash. And apparently the service has been doing so well. So once a week,
Someone comes in.
everyone, the user puts out all the trash on the hallway.
Yes.
And someone comes, you pay about 8,000 won to 10,000 won.
Yes. And
Per service. And they come and they take everything, take it out to your bin, recycle everything for you. And 8,000 won is a little bit 아까워, but for those busy people who want to be living their super efficient life, people are using that service.
Well, we need to do like a part 2 if we can.
Yes.
We need efficiency. Well, we'll check in with you next week. Thank you, Leanne.
Bye-bye.
All right, this was In the Now, our news segment. Time to end it with this one. 나를 돌아봐 by Deuce. Enjoy. I'll be back at 8.
이 캠페인은 대선공익재단과 BFM 부산영어방송이 함께합니다.
혹시 지금 운전 중이신가요? 어린이 교통사고 피해자 수는 지난 3년 평균 약 9만 명. 특히 어린이 보호구역 안전기준이 강화된 이후에도 어린이 보호구역 내 사고는 지속적으로 발생하고 있습니다. 스코존에서는 반드시 시속 30km 이하 서행, 스코존 내 불법 주정차 금지, 차량 출발 전 앞뒤 좌우 살피는 습관으로 어린이가 안전한 도시를 만듭니다. 참, 운전 중 휴대전화 사용은 모두에게 위험합니다. 우리 모두를 위한 교통안전, 나부터 실천하면 모두가 안전해집니다. 어린이가 안전하게 뛰어놀 수 있는 부산. 아이 키우기 좋은 도시는 우리 모두의 미래이자 희망입니다. 이 캠페인은 어린이가 안전한 부산을 만드는 은행, B&K 부산은행과 함께합니다.
These are the guidelines for action for people in the event of an apartment building fire. First, if evacuation is possible in the event of a fire in your home, move to a safe place in a low posture by using stairs. And if evacuation is difficult, move to an evacuation space or block the door gap and call 119 for rescue. Second, if a fire breaks out in another home and no flames or smoke enters your home, wait inside the home, call 119, and act according to the announcement. Third, if flames and smoke come into your home in the event of a fire in another home, check to see if evacuation is possible and then evacuate or request rescue. This was brought to you by the Ministry of the Interior and Safety and the National Fire Agency.
살림꾼 김재우의 살림템 추천. 창틀 바람막이로 실내 온기 지켜줄게. 포장은 다회용기로, 플라스틱 거절한다. 우리 식재료로 유통을 줄이면 탄소를 줄일 수 있어. 이 모든 건 기후위기에 대응하는 지구 살림템. 여러분도 함께해요. 공익광고협의회.
The time is now 8 o'clock.
Good morning,
Dynamic Busan.
yeah, you're waking up. Time to shake it up. Tell the world good morning and find out what's going on.
Well, hi there, folks. There's everything from comedy to lively chat to music.
Broadcasting from a room about the size of your closet.
All calls are recorded. What show is this?
Live from Korea's dynamic city, this is Morning Wave in Busan.
I'm sorry, who'd you say you were?
It is now 8 o'clock. This is News Highlights. Court grants detention warrant extension against Yoon. Seoul Western District Court granted an extension of a warrant to detain impeached President Yoon Suk-yeol requested by the Corruption Investigation Office for High-Ranking Officials, or CIO, after the warrant expired on Monday. The CIO chief apologized yesterday for failing to execute the warrant for the first time, admitting that the agency was inadequately prepared for many unforeseen issues. Chief Oh Dong-un pledged a thorough preparation for the second warrant execution. Oh also criticized the president and his office, saying that obstruction of the execution of the warrant was tantamount to undermining the foundation of law and order. Transport Ministry confirms Jeju airplane experienced bird strike. The Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport officially recognized for the first time that the fatal Jeju airplane crash had experienced a bird strike at the time of the accident. Head of the ministry's investigation committee, Lee Seung-yeol, said yesterday the bird crashed after finding bird feathers from one of the plane's two engines. The ministry, however, reiterated its position that the concrete man for the localizer did not violate any laws or international standards. Injunction granted to halt election for Korea Football Association chief. The Seoul Central Court yesterday granted an injunction to halt the election for the president of the Korea Football Association, or KFA, following a candidate's claims that the proceedings lacked fairness. Heo Jung-moo, the former men's national team head coach and a candidate for the job, filed the injunction last month. Heo is running against incumbent president Chung Mong-gyu. He accused the KFA of trying to cover up something by refusing to identify members of the committee and pointed out that all of them were named while Chung was still at the helm of the KFA. Army commanders giving prison sentences over recruits' death. The Chuncheon District Court yesterday sentenced 2 Army company commanders to 5 and 3 years in prison, respectively, in connection with the death of a trainee soldier last year. The commanders were convicted of illegally subjecting 6 recruits to a disciplinary session on May 23rd, resulting in the death of one of them. The court said the harsh military training was not suitable for the victims' physical conditions, adding that such abnormal training lowers military morale and reduces the public trust in the institution. At least 126 dead in Tibet earthquake. At least 126 people were killed and 188 injured after a magnitude 7.1 earthquake struck the foothills of the Himalayas in Tibet Tuesday morning local time. A massive rescue operation is underway to look for survivors, and temperatures plummeting to as low as minus 16 degrees Celsius among some 3,000 buildings damaged by the quake. Casualties are expected to rise in what has already been one of China's deadliest earthquakes in recent years. Chinese state media said it has rescued over 400 residents and set up shelters. And this was News Highlights. It's time for Wa글와글. Haley's back in the studio with us.
I'm back, and I
Yes.
come bearing a message from Leon, who was really excited to talk about Baby Vox and how she did. She was a part of her school's Baby Vox team for her the field day. But PD님 didn't ask, or you didn't ask, or PD님 didn't let her. Someone. I don't know. There's blame to be thrown in both directions.
So she wanted that.
Yeah, so she did Killer. 자꾸 떠오르는. Her dance was much better than mine, but
Okay.
I come as the messenger.
Yes.
And, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, maybe we'll get a version from her next time.
And then you guys will really know what the dance was. Yeah.
Got it. All right. So let's talk about our first story. There was this opinion poll that showed a 40% approval rating of the president, which is quite a bit higher than in previous weeks, considering what's been going on. So
Right. So I saw this too. Definitely a bit of a surprise because, he is in the process of impeachment, and the figures that we have reported on considerably lower than 40%, even before he declared martial law. So this poll in question, it was conducted by COPRA, KOPRA, commissioned by Asia Today, the newspaper.
Yes.
A little bit of logistics. The poll has a response rate of 4.7%, 95% rate of confidence, plus or minus 3.1% margin of error.
Okay.
But here's kind of an important lesson to be had, not just for this poll, but overall media literacy and how we might read polls.
Okay.
Because experts actually point out several problems with this opinion poll. First, what was asked? What kind of questions were asked to bring this 40% approval rating? So apart from the typical questions on a public opinion poll, if you've ever answered that call, it's, what do you approve or disapprove of, the president, the ruling party, the opposition party? After those couple of questions, the poll asked, what do you think about the CIO, the 공수처, forcibly apprehending a sitting president despite there being controversy that the arrest warrant may be illegal? That was
the wording of the
it's very one-sided, let's just say. It does represent a certain view.
Yes.
By the way, 57% said this was ideal. They were agreeing with the CIO's position, 40% against. It also had questions about a public authentication process, kind of this trust over the election fraud accusations, which President Yoon mentioned as one reason for him imposing martial law, which the National Election Commission has flat out rejected. Some pundits have pointed out that this is kind of a view espoused by like far-right extremists or far-right streamers.
Yes.
By the way, these questions were numbers 3, 4, and 5, and the questions themselves were quite lengthy, and they might be viewed as controversial.
Sure.
So some political consultants, experts say that those who are kind of in a moderate political tendency range without a strong opinion one way or another may have hung up at this point. Which brings us to the very low response rate of 4.7%.
I see.
So when that happens, then either not extreme, so people on the opposite end of the spectrum, whether you're very progressive or very conservative, very for or against the president, they remain and go through the end of that poll.
Okay.
And by the way, when you do read an article or a news article about an opinion poll, look into the method that was used. Was it done via, they're all done by phones, but were the questions asked by an actual person or an automatic response system, ARS? ARS polls do tend to lead to more extreme results because, and this is the thing, not just with opinion polls, but even like commercials or those, the advertising calls, it's so much easier to hang up on a machine as opposed to a person. So usually if there is an actual person asking the question, even the moderates will go through the end of the poll because you just feel rude. But if it's an ARS machine, you just hang up.
Well, good to note. So thanks for going over the logistics of this poll and all the details. Well, it is so cold. We can't get away from that, right? And many of you have, of course, been wearing your winter coats. These padded jackets will sometimes have feathers for insulation. They call them like down padding or whatever. But apparently some companies, they don't put in what they say they're putting into these jackets.
Which, as a consumer, this irks me. But listeners, and I want to ask this as a text topic was one of the discussions. Are you in like full long padding mode, or are you like 얼죽코? Because I'm wearing a pea coat right now.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm lazy. I just have it like hanging, so I just grab it. But 얼죽코 stands for like 얼어 죽어도 코트. Like, I'll wear a coat no matter what the weather is. In any case. But, I don't know, come tomorrow, which is going to be real cold, I might have to, steal someone's down jacket. But goose down jackets, they're under controversy for some brands not having enough goose feathers in their down jackets to qualify them as goose downs. So, who are you, but it's who are you under Eland World. Its goose down jacket claims on the label to be made up of 80% goose feathers and 20% duck feathers. But then when a consumer agency tested it, 30% goose and 70% duck. Yeah, that's a big discrepancy.
Yes.
Also, the brand Musinsa, under the same controversy, but this wasn't a jacket that was manufactured by the brand, but they do carry it. The brand itself is La Fudge Store. The duck down padded jacket claims to have 80% duck feathers.
Okay.
But 3%. Not 30, 3.
3%?
3%. That's usually mostly cotton. By the way, to be a down jacket legally, you need to have at least 75% of the said feathers to qualify as a down jacket. So both companies, they apologize Eland for not being diligent on its own quality testing, has recalled the jacket. Musinsa implemented a 3 strikeout system for the brands that it carries. But some consumers and consumer advocates are calling for a more stringent process for not what to do after this breaks, but just in the manufacturing and, the putting it onto the platform process from the get-go.
Right. Like, what are you going to do? You're not going to rip open your own jacket.
Exactly. You paid
to check
probably good money for it.
And let's be honest, like, how do I know the difference between a goose feather and a duck feather anyway?
Right.
Like, let's say if I rip my jacket.
Exactly. I suppose they look different, but I don't want to do that.
Exactly.
That's why I paid a company to do
so.
that. Yeah.
All right, next up, the Oxford English Dictionary added a series of Korean words into its lexicon.
It has. So 3 years ago, and I do remember reporting on this,
Yes.
the OED, the Oxford English Dictionary, included things like 대박, 먹방, 치맥. But this year, it's December updates.
Yes.
7 new words.
Okay.
These are 달고나, hyung, 노래방, 막내, 찌개, 떡볶이, and 판소리.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, an interesting range.
Okay.
But overall, though, if you really look at them, these 7 new entries, they reflect K-pop, K-culture,
Yes.
especially in English-speaking countries. Because if we look at dalgona, I mean, that is the definition, Korean confection made by adding baking soda to melted sugar. You know, they're sold in streets. But how do we know dalgona? Squid Game. Exactly.
Yes.
Right. And then 막내, although that is the youngest of any group, that's, something that we use in families. But also they do refer to, 막내 in the context of K-pop groups. And then, so a professor of Korean linguistics at the University of Oxford's Asian and Middle Eastern Studies,
Yes.
Jian Kair, who's also the Korean language consultant for the dictionary, she anticipates a steady increase in Korean-related words. For next year, they are looking to add words like 해녀, the female divers, most associated with Jeju, but elsewhere in Korea too, 아줌마, middle-aged women, and 빙수, the shaved ice, into the future updates.
The shaved ice doesn't do it justice.
No, it doesn't.
It's just not the same.
It seems so bland. But
Right.
빙수 is 빙수. It's
so
loaded
Korean.
with toppings.
Yum, yum. All right, lastly, there was a 2-hour delay in a plane from Gimpo to Jeju, but the reaction was not what you might have expected.
We've definitely, anyone has sit in an airplane, stewed inside an airplane whilst waiting for whatever technical difficulty to be resolved, only to get your flight canceled. Personal experience? Yes.
Yes.
So technical difficulties, that phrase would annoy you.
Oh, of
There's
course.
definitely eye roll.
Yes.
However, after the Jeju Air tragedy, this is something that really makes people nervous, anxious. But the Jin Air flight 531, it was delayed by about 2 hours from Gimpo to Jeju due to a hydraulic pressure problem that caused issues within the air conditioning system. By the way, the plane in question that had this issue was a Boeing 737-900, but a new flight that the airline has put in to replace that flight was Boeing 737-800, which is the same model in the Jeju Air accident.
Right.
And there were also 2 gate changes in the process. So not only did the passengers have to disembark their plane, go to one gate, go to another gate, and get on this plane, but reports say not a single passenger got upset or complained. So they were just very quiet, very calm. And the airline's employee, not the flight attendants,
Yes.
but the airline's employee, before the plane's door closed, the gate
Right.
closed, this person got onto the airplane over the PA system, apologized to the passengers, said that they were really thankful for not even a single complaint coming into the airline, which was unheard of.
Right.
This is rare. And apparently the passengers told the employee in the process of this whole situation that, it's okay. We just want things to be safe. So take your time, do what you need to do. So definitely a culture that we hope to see in the future. And after this PA announcement came out, some passengers even applauded the crew.
Right. And earlier, Leon was mentioning how we're so hyper efficient. Everything is bali. But safety,
That's
anything
true.
related to safety.
Right. I would rather, it needs to be done right rather than fast.
Well, thank you for all the stories for Wa글와글. We'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you.
See you tomorrow.
Everybody, this was Haley. And now here's your updated traffic and weather. It is is now time for your updated traffic report at 8:17. It's backed up on 청년인구 from Minam intersection to Daesung intersection. Also looking slow on the Dongso overpass from Jure ramp to the old Daegum tollgate. Also congested on Gwangan Bridge going towards the end of Taeyeon overpass. Currently, it is -1 with light snow forecast for this morning. The daytime high will go up to 7 degrees here in Busan, although the wind chill factor might make it feel a little colder than it really is. Across the nation, heavy snow in Chungcheong, Jeolla, and Jeju, which will continue until tomorrow. It's below freezing across most of the country. Chuncheon, -11 right now. Snow is forecast for much of the nation, so please be extra careful today. This was your traffic and weather. And here's another one, Killer by Baby Box.
잔인하게 비웃었던 그대 이제는 말라버린 눈물 속에 그대를 지워갔어 난 믿어왔어 그대 기억 외엔 아무것도 남은 것이 없어 자꾸 떠오르는 그대의 웃음소리 잔인한 그 소리를 없었기에 지난 사랑 모두 잊었다 했지만 난 문득 네 얼굴에 겹쳐지는 그대가 날 비웃어 난 믿어왔어 그대 기억 외엔 아무것도 남은 것이 없어 자꾸 떠오르는 그대의 웃음소리 잔인한 그 소리를 이젠 잊게 해줘 너만이 그대를 내 안에서 없앨 수 있어
I see many of you are reminiscing about your school days. And some of you mentioning some of your other favorites when you were back in school, preparing for your talent show, or maybe what was kind of hot at the moment. Yunjung Waver saying, Billie Jean by Michael Jackson. 중학교 때 열심히 연습했었던 기억이 나네요. Oh, Billie Jean. That's a popular one, I guess, across all ages, wherever you are, whether it's in the States or here in Korea as well. And the kind of, I guess, like the songs are kind of dating, kind of dates you, like the era that you grew up in. Although I see some old souls too, meaning some of you are quite young, in your chronological age, but you know all the goodies, the oldies but goodies as well. So that's good to know as well, that you, regardless of your age, that you're able to enjoy all the classics up to the modern era. And now it seems we're ready for a special interview, so I'll be back with our expert. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has announced his resignation as leader of the Liberal Party and will remain in office until a new leader is chosen. And so this decision comes ahead of the federal election scheduled for October later this year, with the Liberal Party, 자유당, currently trailing the Conservatives, the 보수당, in the polls. So Trudeau's tenure has been marked by various challenges, including economic issues and controversies that have impacted his popularity. Let's find out the details that have led to his resignation. We have joining us right now Dr. Atari Ajadi, Assistant Professor of Political Science at McGill University. So let's get his take on this issue. Hi, welcome to our program.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yes. So first of all, Professor, what factors within the Liberal Party itself contributed to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's decision to resign?
Ultimately, the party's been in pretty dire electoral straits for the past year to 18 months. A series of issues, including the cost of living crisis, the housing crisis in Canada, which is stretching from coast to coast to coast. And on top of that, a series of controversies that are specific to Prime Minister Trudeau, whether it's issues with the Indian government over assassinations that have happened on Canadian soil, whether it is issues related to members of his own party, including most recently his former Deputy Prime Minister, Chrystia Freeland, who ultimately chose to resign as Finance Minister and Deputy Prime Minister because she did not agree with the Prime Minister, and whether it's issues with broader regional caucuses or groups looking for a change because of a series of losses in by-elections over the past year. It's really been building up until this point.
I see. Thanks for explaining the lead up to this. And why do you think many people were kind of not surprised by his decision? Do you think that because of everything you just said right now, there was kind of a build up to this, that it didn't come as a big shocker?
Yeah, no one was surprised at all. I mean, after Chrystia Freeland resigned in December, it was a matter of when and not if. And so it was quite clear that there was no credibility left for the Prime Minister. By the time the past couple of days happened, in fact, 130 of his 150 MPs had publicly written letters to say that he should resign, either through their own regional caucuses or as individuals, right? So that's not a tenable position for any Prime Minister to take.
Yes, indeed. And so how might his resignation influence the Liberal Party itself, the strategy and plans in the upcoming federal election? From what I understand, is slated for maybe October, at least later this year, 2025?
So the next federal election is slated for later this year in 2025, but I highly doubt we'll make it to October. So one of the things that happens here is that now that he has resigned and he has prorogued or suspended Parliament or gone to the Governor General, who ultimately gets to make that decision, They'll come back in March. They'll likely try to present a budget. That budget will likely fail. And so the election will likely happen in May. May, maybe early June, but most likely May. And so this is, instead of being kind of something that, the new leader has a lot of time to maybe make a case to Canadians, they won't have any time at all. The moment they kind of really get introduced to Canadians through the reopening of Parliament, they'll likely be an election, right? So that's the first thing here. In terms of how this will shift the Liberal Party's strategy, the truth is that no one really knows, because Justin Trudeau was such a singular figure in Canadian politics, right? The party took a completely different direction when he became leader. He's been the leader for 10 years. And crucially, most of the candidates or potential candidates who might be ready to replace him have served in his government. And the ones that haven't either ideologically align with him in some pretty significant ways, as for example, Mark Carney, who was the chairman of the Bank of England and the chair of the Bank of Canada once upon a time. Or they are so divergent ideologically, so most of the rest of the party, they simply won't be chosen. For example, Christy Clark. So it's really unclear right now what direction the party will take. And I think it's a bit of an existential crisis for the party. Who are they in 2025? And what can they offer Canadians?
Yes. And can we take a look back at his tenure? Because when he first became the prime minister, he was quite popular. He was young, he was fresh, and then there were some controversies, we'll say. So can we take a look back at his tenure?
Absolutely. So he did come to power in a wave of popularity, but there's an iron law in Canadian politics. We give our prime ministers about 10 years. After 10 years, it's very likely that they'll end up getting the hook, being replaced by someone else, and people get an appetite for change. So to some extent, Justin Trudeau's dwindling popularity is a function of just this basic law happening again. It's been about 10 years since he became prime minister, 10 years, and Canadians were ready for a change, or are ready for a change potentially. But the thing that's notable about his tenure is that he's had transformative ambition with very mixed results, right? When he came into power, he said that the 2015 election was going to be the last election under the first past the post electoral system, as opposed to proportional representation or single transferable vote. Those are other ways of choosing representatives. He said that he wanted to legalize marijuana. He wanted to save the climate. He wanted to advance reconciliation, get rid of boil water advisories in First Nations and in Indigenous communities across the country. These were big, sweeping and transformational attempts at changes. And unfortunately, a lot of those attempts have not really landed in the ways that he's hoped. For example, the carbon tax is very unpopular amongst a segment of Canadians, and is a big part of the kind of sloganeering and push towards replacing Justin Trudeau amongst the Conservative Party of Canada, their main competitors. Whether we think about getting rid of boil water advisories on Indigenous communities, the fact of the matter is that has not happened. They did not achieve that. And in fact, they've been criticized quite significantly for missteps in advancing reconciliation in Canada. We can look at a lot of the kind of signature policy efforts of the Trudeau government and can say quite clearly, this hasn't worked out the way that they were intended.
Well, anything that stands out to you, Professor, that he did well over his 10 years?
So one of the things that the Liberal Party did the best, in my opinion, was the Canada Child Benefit, right? This was a benefit given to all parents, to a greater or lesser degree, most parents across Canada, designed to lift children out of poverty. And it was remarkably successful, right? And this is, I think, a laudable and notable achievement, right? Because of the Canada Child Benefit, there are millions of children across the country who are better able to kind of make ends meet during what is obviously a cost of living crisis. That's an important achievement. He did legalize marijuana, and while the rollout of that has been, again, uneven frankly, there were a lot of people that were in prison for doing something that other people were making money from. So I think that was an important achievement. And certainly, to some extent, just changing the tone of Canadian politics, I think was an important step, right? I think that it was important to have a voice that kind of shifted, I think, some of the kind of previous regime's kind of discourses.
And also, I would like to talk about his relationship or Canada's relationship with other countries, especially with the United States, because obviously we have a Donald Trump, the president-elect, who will be entering the White House once again, inaugurated on January 20th, which is coming up real soon. What kind of impact might his resignation leave on Canada's international relationships?
So right now, Canada's relationships internationally are pretty strange, right? So Canada, once upon a time being a middle power with very little influence, but with a fair amount of friends, now finds itself increasingly isolated. We've picked fights with a lot of people that maybe we shouldn't have picked fights with, right? So whether we're thinking about the Indian government, who, we have millions of people in Canada who are part of the broader Indian diaspora or who are citizens of India and who have come to Canada, whether as international students or as temporary foreign workers. And those relationships are strained and those people are caught in the crosswinds of that. And of course, most significantly, the relationship with the United States is becoming increasingly strained, though that's largely because of President Trump's aggression. He said today that he's willing to enact economic force on Canada. He's willing to mount significant tariffs on Canada. And Justin Trudeau's resignation will not change some of those facts, right? Whether Justin Trudeau is the leader of the country or not, it seems that the United States government is intent on making Canada pay for an offense that no one can really name.
Well, as we look ahead for Canada, what qualities do you think would be necessary for the next Liberal Party leader to possess to address the current challenges that are in front of Canada to kind of regain the public trust? What do you think?
I mean, not to put too fine a point on it, but I don't think there's much that they can do. I don't think they can regain the public's trust. I know that sounds a little bit severe, but at the same time, I think that demonstrates the degree to which the polling indicates that Canadians have largely tuned the Liberal Party out. Nevertheless, I think that dealing with the United States is the biggest file for the next Liberal Party leader for however long they actually are the leader. Right? At a fundamental level, the United States is our biggest trading partner. Our economies are integrated in ways that are rare across the world, and a decoupling of that could be a nightmare for Canadians. Whoever becomes the next Liberal Party leader, and indeed whoever becomes the next leader of the country, has to be able to navigate that relationship in such a way that Canadians feel as little economic and political harm as possible.
And if you had to, pick or fathom a guess as to whom the next leader might be, who would you say is the prospective leader of the Liberal Party?
That's a great question. Right now, Chrystia Freeland is the figure that people know, I think, the best out of the potential candidates. So, of course, we don't be the candidates for sure, with a strong second to Mark Carney. But ultimately, it's quite difficult to understand or to fathom who will be the next leader because we don't have the rules of the leadership campaign yet. We don't have who will be able to vote in that campaign developed as of yet. So it's really quite difficult to decide. Ultimately, this isn't a decision being made by all Canadians. This is a decision being made by Liberal Party members. And so that's a very different thing with different implications. So ultimately, we'll see who the party ends up deciding.
Indeed. Well, thank you so much for your expertise and opinions on this very hot matter. Thank you, Professor.
Thanks so much for having me.
This was Dr. Atari Ajadi, and we talked about the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's resignation and what that might mean for the Liberal Party from here on out. And this was your special interview. We're going to take a short song break. Here is Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana. Welcome back, listeners. I have a public service announcement for you. The Korean National Police Agency has issued this public service announcement at 7:15 a.m. on January 8th, 2025 nationwide. Regarding the Jeju airplane crash, the Korean National Police Agency is conducting a thorough investigation into defamatory posts and videos that harm the honor of the victims and their families. Spreading false rumors or posting defamatory content and videos indiscriminately is a serious crime. Please refrain from actions that could further hurt the bereaved families. This was a public service announcement from the Korean National Police Agency. And I'll be back with Jennifer.
Get your local up-to-date news from Korea and abroad right here on Morning Wave in Busan with Catherine. Stay tuned.
It is now time for Skills 101. We have Jennifer here.
Hey, it's
Happy
good to
New
see
Year.
you. Happy New Year
Yes.
to you. It's a beautiful Wednesday morning.
It is.
Yeah, sun is shining.
I want to ask you about our text topic.
Okay, go ahead.
We're talking about talent shows.
Oh, talent shows.
Why the look of distress? When you were younger, not you personally, but maybe like, what was really popular? Like the group, band, singer, song back in your day. Do you remember?
Back in my days, when I was in Korea.
Yes.
Like
하교에 뭐가 인기 있었어요?
하게 Korean like singer, female singer. Kim Wan-sun was very popular. And so like girls would dance to Kim Wan-sun's song.
Yeah. So she was really popular back in the day, right?
Yeah. I remember that.
She's very 매력. She's very attractive.
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Thanks for sharing. Yes.
I mean, are you the kind of person who was always in the talent show, or were you the one who was clapping and
Well, for talent shows in the States, they're not quite the same as like here in Korea where they're obviously not K-poppy in the States.
Is it not like singing and dancing?
There's singing and dancing or other, you can do skits or you can do other things as well. It's not just singing and dancing.
Yeah,
so,
right.
I was part of the dance team, so we danced, but definitely not singing.
I
was
remember
not into singing.
in the States, there was like cheerleading. The
Yeah,
girls
so
in a
I was part of
cheerleading
that,
team.
but not of the dance. Not
you were
singing.
one of the cool kids.
Kind of. We'll just leave it
in
at
a
that.
cheerleading group. Yeah.
빨리 지나갑니다. Okay. What is our topic for Skills 101 today?
Well, today we are diving into a topic that's rather sensitive but really essential. The art of comforting others. After the recent tragic events, it's safe to say that many of us are reflecting on how to provide support and comfort to those who are grieving or going through difficult times.
Yes. This is so important.
Yeah.
Like you said, a time where, the official period of mourning is over. And like I just read the public service announcement, it really irks me. It bothers me.
Yeah, it bothers
me
so
much. And I read that statement just verbatim because it annoys me that people are making these types of statements.
I mean, how dare
you?
they? Yeah.
It's like, it just bothers me so
It's
much.
just beyond me how they could do such things. Well, even with the best intentions.
Yes.
Your intention, 의도는 좋지만 our words or actions can sometimes miss the mark. That's why today we will share practical advice, common pitfalls to avoid, and some cross-cultural insights to help you navigate these delicate moments.
Right.
Like not everybody is evil, like their intentions are good, but sometimes they end up saying wrong things.
That's true. And sometimes we don't know what to say.
Oh, yeah.
And then you feel really awkward, like you want to say the right thing, if there is such a thing.
Yes, especially if it's really serious matter.
Right.
Right.
So let us know what to say.
Okay, so let's start with the basics.
Sure.
The key to comforting someone is empathy. It's about being present, listening actively and validating their feelings. You don't need to have the perfect words. Often just being there is enough. Because we always we try too hard to really select the right words.
Yes.
But that's not the most important thing.
Oh, okay. So that's a good point. Not necessarily just like the words, right? So what's more important than words then?
Okay. Being there, it means giving them your full attention.
Okay.
Put away your phone, make eye contact, and listen without interrupting. A simple "I'm here for you" or "I can't imagine how hard this must be" can be incredibly powerful because sometimes we end up stopping others, like interrupting and say, "Oh, I know what you mean," or "I experienced similar,"
I'm sure we've done that.
Yeah.
All have done that. Well, what about someone who needs space?
Oh, I understand
like they
that,
don't
yeah.
want, the coddling and the cuddling and all that. So how do you balance being supportive without overwhelming somebody else?
Pay attention to their cues. If they seem withdrawn or say they need time, respect that. You can still check in with a message like, "Oh, I'm here when you're ready to talk. If you need me, please call me." It shows you care without being too pushy.
Okay, that seems fair enough, right? So what do we need to do? Like gestures, right? I've heard people say like, I don't know, everything happens for a reason, or this irks me too, this bothers me too, like it's God's will or God's plan. And for someone who'd like, may or may not go to church or like, or go to any religious institution, I mean, like,
it can be upsetting, right?
Like, I mean,
in Korea, we have something similar. Like when a very old person passes away, like you would say things like, 호상입니다. That's like he has lived long enough, good life. Yeah, long and good life. But the family members,
does
not
it give
feel
solace?
like that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
Yes.
while those phrases might bring comfort to some, they can feel dismissive or even hurtful to others, the families and friends.
Sure.
So for example, someone grieving a tragic loss might find it difficult to see a reason for their pain.
Right, at that moment.
Yeah. So instead, try saying something like, "I'm sorry for your loss. How can I support you?"
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, sometimes saying less is better.
I agree.
When we say too
Right.
much, we end up making mistakes.
That does make sense, right? I'm sorry for your loss. How can I be supportive? Okay, I'm gonna remember that one. Right. And what if someone starts saying like, you should do this, or you need to move on?
There are too many advices always.
Right.
Advice is often unnecessary unless explicitly asked for. Grief and hardship are deeply personal. And there's no one-size-fits-all solution.
Yes.
So instead of offering solutions, focus on listening and acknowledging their feelings.
Yes. What about like tone and body language? I mean, are there any pitfalls there?
Oh, absolutely. For example, a cheerful tone or overly bright demeanor can seem out of place. So keep your tone gentle and your body language open.
Okay.
It's about matching their emotional state without mirroring it too much. I find this difficult because I'm the kind of person who is always smiley and very expressive, and I use a lot of gestures and facial expressions.
Me too.
Yeah, so this can be really like quite challenging at times.
Yes. I absolutely agree. It's difficult when you're naturally like cheery and smiling to tone it down because and sometimes like I laugh out of nervousness.
Oh yeah,
and it's out
I
of
do that as well.
nervousness. It's not because I think it's funny. It's like it's really out of nervousness. It's like a reflex. It's so difficult sometimes.
In my young days, when I was a teenager or in my early 20s, I've made so many mistakes. I remember like once I went to a funeral and I asked the family member, "Oh, how have you been?" That's so silly of me. But I was so young.
We were
young and stupid.
We've all been young and stupid. Yes, we've all been there. Yes. So, what's your advice for someone attending a funeral or visiting like a grieving friend? What would you say?
Firstly, follow cultural or religious customs if you are aware of them, or you can look them up before going there.
Yes.
For example, in Korean culture, it is customary to offer quiet condolences during a funeral. Attendees typically place a white flower, gukwa, at the memorial altar before bowing twice in front of the deceased photo. So not once, twice.
Yes.
Then they face the grieving family. This time, bow only once. Not twice.
Yes.
And offer words of comfort. In Christian or Catholic traditions, instead of bowing, people may observe a moment of silent prayer. That's okay.
Yes.
I know in like Western contexts, I know like expressing sympathy with a card or saying something simple like, I'm sorry for your loss is more common.
Right, or just hugs.
Yeah, hugs.
It's common. Like, I've been to a few funerals, back in California where sometimes just actions, depending on how close you are with the person, of course. So, and as Leslie says, validating people's feelings instead of trying to reframe it, trying to say too much, or just saying validating.
Validating.
Saying, yes,
Yeah,
I think that's
enough.
important as well. What if you're not sure, like what to say, or
it's so hard. Words are so hard.
and so awkward sometimes, right?
Yeah,
The situation.
Like the listener said, words aren't always necessary. A hug, a pat on the shoulder, or just sitting with someone in silence can be more comforting than anything you say.
Yes. I definitely think that, it's not always like what you say, but how you make someone kind of feel with just like your presence. That little bit of support.
Agree 100%. It's about creating a safe space where they feel supported.
Yes.
And remember, it's okay to follow up later. You don't have to always be there first thing, A message or a call a week or 2 weeks after the initial event can mean a lot. So if you don't have time, or if it's too if you feel it's too serious, too sensitive,
right,
and you don't know what to say, you feel awkward, you can wait a bit.
Right,
it's okay. And there's one more thing in Korea, offering money in condolence envelope. It's standard practice.
Yes,
and expressing respect without expressing respect with the formal language. 삼가 구인의 명복을 빕니다. That phrase is essential.
Yes.
So in contrast, Western traditions often involve sending flowers.
Yes.
Or sympathy cards, right? Or hug.
The first time I went to a funeral in Korea, I literally had to write it on my hand because I couldn't memorize it. And I felt so bad, so I looked it up on net thing and I wrote it, and then I had to glance down, and then the whole bowing thing, because from a Christian family, we're not supposed to bow. That was kind of confusing too. So I went through the internet 10 times because I didn't want to make a mistake.
A friend
to
of mine
show proper respect. Right?
Yeah, a friend of mine told me that he was really stressed not knowing about this tradition.
I was too, though. I was really, really stressed the first time around, and then even when I wrote it on my hand, and then I was nervous, so I guess it kind of smeared.
Oh no!
It was just
poor you.
Of course. The situation was just so serious, but. I mean, coming from a different culture, it can be nerve-wracking.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Read up on it before you go.
Yeah, prepare so you don't feel awkward once you get there. Yeah.
All right. Well, any closing words before I let you go today?
Well, compassion and presence are your best tools. So you don't have to fix their pain. You're not a doctor. You just have to show them they are not alone.
I like that. Compassion and presence. Sometimes you just don't need the words. You just need to be there.
Yeah, that's
All
right.
Well, we're going to wrap it up on that one. Thank you so much for giving us real life skills for today.
Oh, thank you. Always my pleasure. And I take care, and let's be kind to one another.
Yes. Thank you, Jennifer. This
Thank
was
you.
Skills 101. It's time to wrap up today. How about this one as our final song? 신고라도 될 걸 그랬어 by Demi. Have a wonderful day. Bye, everybody.
벌써 넌 내가 변하니 웃으며 인사할 만큼 까맣게 나 곁에 있는 사람 소개할 만큼 견디긴 너무 힘든데 자꾸만 울고 싶은데 내 옆이 아닌 자리에 너를 보고 있는 게 왜 그게 행복한 걸까 친구라도 될 걸 그래서 모두 다 잊고서 다른 사람 만나는 널 보아도 슬프지 않게 그저
Your bridge to the world. BEFM 부산 영어방송.
부산의 축